Again, good morning everyone, and we are now going to discuss about the topic testing hypothesis. Let me open my cam first. By the way, I encourage you to open cam while we are discussing. Okay, everyone, can you open your camera so that I will be able to know who are those students that are not paying attention. Okay, good. Some are not following instruction. Again, you open your cam, but you remain your microphone muted. So you will just unmute your microphone if I ask you to unmute if you have concerns or queries. Okay? So now we will be discussing about the topic testing hypothesis. Say for example, you have you want to study the average height of the Filipino or somehow something like students from City High. So for example, gusto ka makabalo kung unsa ang average height sa mga estudyante sa City High. So unsa imong himuon? Kinahanglan ba i-measure nimo ang kada estudyante sa City High or pangutanon pila ilahang height para mahibaw-an nimo ang mean or population mean nga height sa mga estudyante sa City High? Dili no. Ang pinahimo ana class magkuha ra ka og sample, especially if you're studying kanang dako nga population, example City High. Dako man na. So ang inyong himuon ana class, you will get a sample. And from that sample, you are going to measure here the sample mean, your sample standard deviation, your S. Then say for example, you are claiming that the height of the students from City High is less than, say for example, 5'2", say for example, 5'2". So what you will be doing is, kinahanglan nimo ni iso nga tinuod. In showing that your claim is true, kinahanglan ka mo gamit og statistics. And that topic is called, testing hypothesis. So testing hypothesis. You need to test whether your hypothesis is true or not. And to test it, whether this claim is true or not, in testing it, you need to follow these 7 steps. For some books, they are just using 5 steps. For us, since gusto natin detailed kayo, we will use step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Himay-himayon na ito na unya, unsaon na pag-plaster ng hypothesis, unsaon na pag-plaster ng level of significance, unsa ng statistical test statistics, critical region, actual value, and statistical decision, and of course the conclusion. Okay, and another scenario is this. For example, na ay 1 sack of rice. Di lang nato i-mention unsa ang brand. So gibutang dira, gibutang sa sako sa rice is dire gibutang 50 kilograms daw na ang iyang kabugaton. Nya, inigtimbang nimo, nakita nimo mura magdili kaabot og 50 kilograms. Ang uban po na lapas ni 50 kilograms. But most of the time, nakita na to, gamay ligi na sa 50. So your claim is ang timbang aning isa ka sako nga bugas, example, langan na natong pangalan, example, Princess Bea. Example, the Princess Bea nga bugas. 50 kilograms, 25 kilograms sa mga Princess Bea, no? Irisa. 25 atong gamitan diri. Kasi for example, ibutang dira 25 kilograms. Pero nabantayan nimo mura lagi dili kaabot og 25 kilograms, mura. So to be sure that your claim is true, you need to use statistics. So your claim is the population mean of the weight of this Princess Bea nga half sack of rice is less than 25 kilograms. Okay, that is your claim. Okay, to test whether this is really true, you get a sample. So magkuha kag probably, say for example, you get 20 ka sack of rice as Princess Bea, and that is your N. So for that 20 sack of rice of Princess Bea, you measure it. You mo gitimbang, and you get those data, then you solve for the mean and the standard deviation. And out of this data, you can use now these 7 steps to test whether this claim is true. Okay? Klaro? So this is one case wherein you can apply the testing hypothesis. So let us start. Let us start with the step number 1. Kung saan ni paghimo ning hypothesis? In testing hypothesis, there are 2 types of hypothesis. By the way, kung singular, kung isa ra, ay ni hypothesis. Kung duha, kay plural man. Okay? Kung plural, kung duha, ang gamiton. Pero kung isa ra, ay. Tingala mo ba anong ay ligitong gibutang ni Sir ganina karon kay kay duha man. Duha ka hypothesis. The null hypothesis, type it. The null hypothesis, and the other one is the alternative hypothesis. Okay? Hypothesis. Okay, duha man sila. So I am using now here E. Okay? So in the null hypothesis will be denoted by H sub O. O. Okay? While the alternative hypothesis, mostly of the books are using H sub 1. Some books are using H sub I. And some are using H sub A. Okay? So, pariharan na sila alternative hypothesis. But for us, we will be using H sub 1. Okay? So, this is the null hypothesis. This is the alternative hypothesis. Ani kuhaon sila. So, you can get this alternative hypothesis coming from your claim. Example, kaganiha, katong 1 half sack of rice. Niingon ta nga, ang population mean, it means sa kabuuan, sa tanan, niingon ta nga, ang timbang daw sa sako sa half sack of rice sa Princess Bea is less than 25 kilograms. This is now our alternative hypothesis. Katong atong gi-claim. Okay, atong panaghap sa Bisaya. Okay? So, the alternative hypothesis will consist of either less than, greater than, or not equal. Again, the alternative hypothesis will involve less than, greater than, or not equal. In some cases, napay less than or equal, greater than or equal. But for us, let us just discuss these 3. Consider this. For the alternative, for the null hypothesis, remember, the null hypothesis will always involve equality. Okay? Say for example, in this case, if our alternative hypothesis is this one, if this is our H sub 1, let me erase it first. Okay, say for example, our alternative hypothesis is this, then our null hypothesis will look like this. As I have said, the null hypothesis will always involve equality, right? So it should be population mean is equal to 25. Clear? Again, your alternative hypothesis will be based from your claim. Question so far for the null and alternative hypothesis. Klaro?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, let me erase. Again, I want you to take down notes. Again, step 1, we are done. We determine the null and alternative hypothesis. Don't you worry. As we go on to our examples later, you will understand kung saan din na usaon naman. Okay? We're done with the hypothesis, step 1. The next part is the level of significance. There are two things that you need to consider in step 2. We have the level of confidence, and the other one is the level of significance. Level of significance. Okay, let us start with the level of confidence. Kung saan na sila, kasi kalainan nilang duha. Kaning level of confidence, it is the chance or a percent or percentage that you are certain that you are interpreting it or the data correctly. You are testing it correctly. And commonly, the level of confidence that we will be using is 99%. In some case, it will be 95%, and so on. Okay? And so on. So it can also be 90% as long as these are the values. Okay? And for the level of significance, it is the chance that you may commit error in testing your hypothesis. By the way, the level of confidence in statistics, it is denoted by 1 minus your alpha. What is this alpha? That alpha is the notation for the level of significance. And again, level of significance is the percentage that you may commit error in your testing the hypothesis. Okay? So if you know your level of confidence, you can solve for your alpha by using this formula. Say for example, in our problem, we stated that our level of confidence is 95%. If the level of confidence is 95%, what should be the level of significance? To do that, we will equate this 1 minus alpha to 95%. It will be 1 minus alpha equal to 95% or 95% in decimal 0.95. Can you mute your microphone? Kinsa nang bagong nisulod? Can you mute your microphone? So after that, you just equate this to the level of confidence that you have. Then you solve for alpha so that you will have your level of significance. And after that, you just transfer this to the other side. It becomes positive. From negative, it becomes positive. And this one to the other side. From positive, it becomes negative in the other side. Okay? So in that case now, you will have 1 minus 0.95. And this is now equal to the positive alpha. Then after that, it will be 0.05. And that is now your level of significance. Clear? Nasabtan sa tanan? That is the process in determining your level of significance. In some books, in some problems coming from the book, the level of significance is given directly. For example, with the level of significance equal to 0.05. So dili nakakinahanglan pa magamit ani kay gihatag naman daan. Pero kung ang gihatag sa problem is level of confidence, then you need to equate this one to the given level of confidence. Clear? Naklaro everyone? I want to hear coming from you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, any questions so far?
None.
None.
Answer.
Okay. So we are done with step 1 and step number 2. I want you to take down notes. Can you take down notes? So we are done in step 1. We are done in step 2. The next one is the test statistics. So for this to be easy in your part, I prepared here a table for the test statistics. For the test statistics class, you just have to use this table. Okay, can you take a screenshot of this one? so that you will have your own copy. Anyways, I already uploaded it in your group chat, right? In your GC sa Messenger. Katong na ay file name nga Jennifer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You will download it from the group chat. Kaya para na mo i-copy. The test, again, this table, kasi pasabot ani nga table. The null hypothesis, di ba na hypothesis man ano? Ini alternative hypothesis, di ba? So, the null hypothesis is always equal to the population mean equal to your claimed mean. Kaganiha class, itong giingon nga mean is less than 25 kilograms. Kining 25 plus mo na gitawag nga claimed mean. Claimed mean. Okay? And in this case, the claimed mean is denoted by this one, mean sub O. Okay? So katong naa sa part sa inyong gi-claim o na gitawag nga claimed mean. Sabtan? So the null hypothesis will always be population mean equal to your claimed mean. When you look at here, always equal, right? So while your alternative hypothesis can either be less than, greater than, or not equal. And the same with the other cases. Anong tagtulo man sa nga set? Yes, tagtulo na sila because that will be based in your test statistics. Kung saan pag-determine sa correct na test statistics to be used. In determining the correct test statistics to be used in your problem, you have to consider these conditions. Kaning tulo ka conditions. So una ipangutana para ma-determine ang correct na test statistics. You should ask, is the population standard deviation given? Kung gihatag gani ang population standard deviation, you use case 1. Okay? Kung naa na gani previous result or naigiingon, the population standard deviation is equal to. So it means you use case 1. Pero kung wala gihatag ang population, by the way, kini nga standard deviation gi-compute ni coming from your population. Pero kung gi-compute lang gikan sa inyuhang sample, remember, kakuha mo sample. So kung that is just computed from your sample, then it will be denoted by S. It means your population standard deviation is unknown. Clear? So if your population standard deviation is unknown, you either use case number 2 or case number 3. Ano sa gamiton ng case 2? You will use case 2 if your population standard deviation is unknown and your N is large. So ang N, sample size, pila ka buok samples ang gikuha. So unsaon pagkabalo nga large if that will be greater than or equal to 30. Example, your sample is naa kay 50 ka buok. Kindly remove your annotation kasi nag-annotate dira. Kunya na pag-annotate kay makuan tama. Ganahan ka ikaw mo padayon sa klase or nag-explore din kayo siya. Okay. So here, so your inana class sa class kanang you should practice also that in meetings like this, online class. You should not annotate while the teacher is presenting. Putol atong discussion. Padayon ta. So kato if N is greater than or equal to 30. Example, there are 50 samples that you get, then you measure each sample. Then in that case, if your population standard deviation is not given, then you will use case number 2. Okay? If this is unknown, wala na gihatag, then ang inyong N is greater than 30, you use case 2. Okay? But if the population standard deviation is unknown, wala gihatag, pero ang inyong sample size is, say, for example, 15, and that is less than 30. So in that case, you use case number 3. Okay? And as you can see here, this involves Z and Z. Pasabot, if you are using case 1 or case 2, you will be using the normal Z distribution table. Itong di-discuss last time. Kini nga table ang gamiton. Kung case 1 or case 2. You will use this table or this one. If you are using case 1 or case 2. But if you are using case number 3, this one. As you observe, this is T, right? So lahi na pod nga table ang gamiton. And that is called the T distribution table. And you should have this table. That is why I told you to download the file that I uploaded in your group chat. Okay? So you will use this table if we are using case 3 in our test statistics. It means if the sample size is less than 30 and this population standard deviation is unknown. So you will use this table. Okay? Am I making things clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Paspas,
Yes, sir.
Okay ra? I want to hear from you. Paspas or okay ra? Para ma-adjust
Okay,
na to.
sir.
Okay ra? Okay, sige.
sir.
Say for example, as we determine the test statistics in step number 3, we know that we will be using the case 1. If we will be using the case 1, then disregard the 2 cases. So you will just focus here above, right? Pero kung case 2 ra pod, kung case 2 pod imong napilian nimo ang case 2, so you disregard the case 1 and the case 3. You will just focus here. Okay, that is the way how will you use this table. Example, you found out that you will use case number 1 in test statistics. So dili na sila gamiton. So in determining your test statistics, sana ibutang lang na dito sa step 3. Kopyahon lang ni tanan. Okay? Kung case 2 pud kani pud ang kopyahon sa step 3. Kung case 3 pud kana lang pud ang kopyahon. Masabtan. Okay, karon na to ha. So that is we are done in the test statistics. How to determine the test statistics? You just have to use the table that I presented a while ago. Okay na nang tulo. The next one is the critical region. How to determine this critical region? In determining the critical region, still you will use the table that I presented to you a while ago. You will be using this table. As you can see, the critical region is here. Saan pag-determine ang critical region? Take note, critical region will be determined out of your alternative hypothesis. I will repeat. You will be able to know your critical region if you know what is your alternative hypothesis or what is your claim. Okay? Kung ang inyong alternative hypothesis kini nag-involve og less than, then you use less than in critical region. You follow here. Okay? But if your alternative hypothesis involves greater than, then you will have to use this one. Okay? You will have to use this as your critical region. Nasabtan? So you have to use this as your critical region kay greater than man ang imong alternative hypothesis. But if your alternative hypothesis involves not equal, then you have to use this as your critical region. Nasabtan? Nasabtan everyone? So it means inikuha na pud ani unya, importante na pud kayo atong previous nga discussion. Okay, because you will not understand how to get this if you are not able to understand our discussion about standard normal distribution. Itong last meeting atong i-discuss. Okay? Karon na again, you base your critical region from your alternative hypothesis. Okay? So that's all for the critical region. So wala ang critical region. Then step number 5. The statistical decision. Step number 5, actual value. How to get this actual value? Actually, the actual value is just the continuation of your step 3. Whatever is the formula used in step 3, You just substitute those value and you get the exact value. And that is called the actual value of your test statistics. Okay? Say for example, you get your actual value is equal to 0.21. Example, in the actual value here, since you are using case 3. Then, after that, you are going to compare it to your critical region. Ang critical region class, ingon ani ang mahitabo. Say for example, your critical region look like this. Say for example, this is 1.2. And you use less than example. And this is your critical region. Masabtan ninyo na unya. Mga tayo example. What you will do, that is your critical region. This is your actual value. In getting your statistical decision, because in statistical decision, there are two possible statistical decisions that you may arrive. The first statistical decision that you may have is either you reject null hypothesis, or the other statistical decision is do not reject null hypothesis. And I think inyohaning na dunggan atong video nga akong gihatag sa inyo kagahapon. Nadunggan ninyo ni statistical decision.
Yes,
Mention
sir.
sa kuan atong
Yes,
doctor
sir.
mo sa education, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So your possible statistical decision is either reject null hypothesis or do not reject. Now, the question is, sir, kano sa i-reject ang null hypothesis? Take note of this. As I have said, naamoy notes dapat para mainumduman ninyo. You will reject the null hypothesis if kining inyong actual value is within your critical region. I will repeat. You will reject your null hypothesis. I will write it. If the actual value is within the critical region. Okay? Sabtan, kasi pasabot ana, like this one. We know that this is our actual value, right? Our actual value is 0.021 rather. So, and that is somewhere here, right? Did I know? That is 0.21. And obviously, nasulod siya sa shaded region. Nasulod siya sa critical region. Kung masulod siya, class, then your statistical decision is reject null. Okay? Pero, if your, say for example, your actual value, example ha, your actual value is equal to 2, example. Kung 2 yung actual value, and if you will locate that in your critical region, so it is somewhere here. And obviously, wala nasulod sa shaded region. Kung wala nasulod sa shaded region, your statistical decision should be do not reject null. Sabtan, do not reject null hypothesis if ang actual value is not within the critical region. Sabtan?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Say pasabot kung ma-reject ang null hypothesis. Kung ma-reject ang null hypothesis, class, so namoy claim, di ba? Example, ato ang claim is your null hypothesis is the mean population mean sacrifice is less than 25 kilograms. The alternative hypothesis is the mean weight of sack of rice. It should be equal, rather equal, because mean is always null is always equal. So example, less than 25 kilograms. Say for example, we know in our statistical decision, we rejected the null. If we rejected the null, it means wala ni. Then we are forced to accept this one, right? Pasabot di ay kung ma-reject ang null hypothesis, it means tinuod imuhang claim. Makaingon day ka, tinuod di ay nga ang half sack of rice sa Princess Bea dili mo abot og 25 kilograms if you rejected the null. Okay? But if you do not reject the null hypothesis, kung wala nimo ni na-reject, Pasabot ana wala po nagpasabot kung dili ni ma-reject, dili pod pasabot nga sayop imuhang claim. Dili pod. Wala lang kay enough evidence nga moingon nga imong claim is true. Sabtan? And I will teach you later how to provide conclusion. Okay? Question so far? No question? So, we will now proceed to our examples. Okay? I will read it first. So, it's all about warming and ice melt. This data is really true. This data is taken from the World Almanac and Book of Facts, year 2010. It is true. So, the average depth, ang kalawmon daw sa Hudson Bay. Kabalo mo ani ang Hudson Bay? Kasi kabalo ani dapitan ni Hudson Bay. Hudson Bay is located somewhere in Canada. Okay? So, ang iya daw kalawon mo is 305 feet. Ang kanang Hudson Bay class daghan kayo nag mga icebergs, mga ice nga kung muinit daw ang panahon, giingon diri sa isa ka climatologist. The person who is studying about climate, climatologists were interested in seeing if the effect of warming and ice melt will affect the water level. Kung ang warming daw, ang ice melt, mo effect ba daw sa water level sa Hudson Bay. So, sa ilang gihimo, they measure 55 times. So, it means our N here is equal to 55. So, it means niadto sila sa Hudson Bay, ilang gi-measure it 55 times. Okay, nasa sila data nga 55 kabuok. Okay? And out of that data, they measured the sample mean and the sample standard deviation. Okay? So, and they come up to the sample mean. Kani sample mean daw nila. Ilahang gi-compute ang mean. Wala naman mo compute sa mean, no? The answer is this. Okay? Let us erase that one. So, it means iyang giingon daw nga ang iyahang mean is kani. So it means your sample mean is 306.2 feet. Okay? That is from their sample. Then it is stated here, the population variance. Giingon gyud ha? The population variance. Sa notation sa population variance kana, di ba? Population variance. In your grade 8, I think you remember that in your grade 8. That the population variance is this. And your standard deviation is just equal to the square root of your variance. Kanumdum mo, ana? Square root of your variance. Gingon niya, nga ang population variance daw is known to be this one. So it means this is equal to 3.57. To get your standard deviation, you need to take the square root of this because variance man ang giingon. Variance. Some books will give you standard deviation. Kung standard deviation, automatic nga kini. Kung variance, kinahanglan pa ninyo na i-square root. So square root of 3.57. Again, I encourage you. By the way, you must have your scientific calculator with you kung mag-study of statistics. Can you get your calculator? Are you ready with your calculator? Para makarelate. Can you get your calculator? Katong walay calculator, you may use your smartphone and install scientific calculator. Ano yung nakanindot karong panahon na. So you take the square root of the 3.57. Dito, sulayin ninyo. What is the square root of 3.57? Bilang answer. That should give you
1.89, sir.
0.89. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Pareha tawag answer?
Yes, sir.
Square root of 3.57? Okay. So that is now your standard deviation. Okay? Subtime class? Subtime?
Sir.
Okay. Ano siya?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Naanatay standard population standard deviation which is equal to 1.89. Aha nato na gikuha gikan sa atong population variance. Again, in some problems standard deviation ang ihatag so automatic na nga kini. Okay, so bantayan yun ang statement. And again, nagingon diri, can it be concluded at 0.05 level of significance? Unsa ni nga step? Ganiha. Unsa ni nga step magamit? Kinumdo mo?
Step 2, sir.
Step 2.
Pantilano, unsa nga step?
Step
Janine.
2, sir. 2, sir.
Wala ka naka di mo tingog madunggan imong tingog Janine. Wala kay microphone? So it should be used in step 2, right? Makita mo sa baba ni Janine, step 2. Are you talking about step 2, Janine? In testing hypothesis, you use the step 2. It means obviously, okay. So it means your alpha is equal to 0.05. Okay? Pero kung giingon diri level of confidence, gamiton sa to ninyong 1 minus alpha. Equate ninyo. Then isolve ninyo ang alpha. Okay? Kung level of confidence, yung significance man so automatic na siya. Sabtan, pamuuna na ang inyong alpha. Okay? So atong giingon niya diri is can it be concluded that at 0.05 level of significance that the depth of water has increased? Ang giingon niya has increased man daw. Kasi pasabot ana, unsa dapat ang inyong alternative hypothesis? Increased man, it means the population mean should be greater than your mean sub O. Okay, increase man ang term, right? Kung saan niya itong mean sub O or your claimed mean? Your claimed mean is this. Okay, naamo man na ang something na known daan. So it means your alternative hypothesis unya should be population mean is greater than 305. Okay? This should be your alternative hypothesis later. Klaro? Klaro everyone? You can take note of the given. Can you take note of this and this one? Ito na gamiton. Okay, let me take down notes of this. Your N is 55. Kitanan, pag take note. Kamutanan, dapat na i-calculator na i-notes para makasabot. Then, population standard deviation is 1.89. The alpha or the level of significance 0.05. And your alternative hypothesis should be population mean greater than 305. Okay. Nakuha na sa tanan. Okay, let me delete it. Balik tayo dito sa mga steps. Delete na ito atong gamiton. Dali na ta. Okay, dali ta. Okay, now. So, how to determine this step 1? Hypothesis. So what you will be doing is, in determining the hypothesis, you should have your null and your alternative. So your null hypothesis, wala na itong alternative para sa dali. Your alternative hypothesis, giingon ka ganiha. So giingon ka ganiha, itong ipatake note na ko ninyo. It is population mean greater than 305. Right? Okay. O sa inyong null hypothesis, ang giingon, ang null is always the same with this, pero ilisda ni og equal. Right? So it means it should be population mean equal to 305. Okay? So that is your null and alternative hypothesis. Sunod, gihatag ba ang level of significance, ang alpha? Gihatag ka ganiha? Your alpha is equal to 0.05. Diba? Gihatag na kaganiha, no? Okay. Sunod, test statistics. Unsa nga test statistics ang gamiton? Now, before you will answer that one, ato sang ihatag ang given. Unsa gani ang sample mean kaganiha? Remember? That is 306.2. What is your N? Your N is equal to 55. Atong ipa-take note na ko ninyo. Your standard deviation, population standard deviation is 1.89. Sunod, your alpha is equal to, ano naman tayo, alpha din, 0.05. Ito na isulat. Natay space. Okay, now, kung saan ni pag-determine ang test statistics? To determine that, you will use the table that I provided. This table. Ani. Nga table. So, saan? What you will be doing is, you determine whether it is case 1, case 2, or case 3. What do you think? Kung saan ka case ang gamiton? Case 1, 2, or 3?
2, sir.
Any type in the chat box? Is it step 1, 2, or 3? They said case 2. Mostly of you answered case 2. Why case 2? Anong case 2 man? You can unmute your microphone. Kung may explanation. Anong 2?
Ang answer
Most of
is
you answered
greater
2.
than 30.
And you observe here. Is your population standard deviation given? Naani, wala. Naa. Diba? Hindi na case 2. It is case 1. So it means you will use here kani. Sabtan? That should be case number 1. Gamiton ninyo si case 2 o case 3 kung wala ni gihatag. Sabtan? Klaro? Okay. Magtuo tingin ninyo kay n is greater than 30 man, case 2 na ni. Pero gihatag man siya, gihatag man ni. So unahon ninyo nag-determine. Okay? Masabtan sa tanan.
Yes,
So it
sir.
means you will
Yes, sir.
copy this formula in your step 3. Clear? Palikta sa atong kuan. Ihimo ka ganiya. Palikta sa step 3. Sige sa step 3, it should be Z. Nahinumdum mo? Balik na gamay. Kung wala nakahinumdum, nakawan niyo balik. Sige ingon. It is Z equal to the sample mean minus your claimed mean all over the population standard deviation all over the square root of n. Balikta. Oops. Okay. Again, it is Z equal to the sample mean minus the claimed mean all over your population standard deviation all over the square root of your n. Okay? Na yang giingon kana ang gamito. Now, naa ba ni nga value? Na sample mean diri? Naa wala.
Sir.
Naa wala.
Sir.
Naa ba'y sample mean dito? Naa wala kani type wala or naa? Naa. Okay. Ay sample mean no? Okay, naay sample mean. Naa ba'y claim mean? You can unmute your microphone. Naa ba ni?
Sir.
Unsa ni nga value? Unsa nga
305.
value? Naa.
305.
Chance lang naa. Pero unsa ang value ana? Claim mean. Kani unsa ni?
305.
305.
That is the 305. Diba? That is the 305. Okay. So kini is this portion. Again, remember this is mean sub O, so it should be here. It should be this one. Sabtan? So naani, naana, kanina apo ni, di ba? 1.89. Ang n, that is 55. So we can solve this later in step 5. Okay? Before we will solve that, ato sang i-determine ang critical region. Okay? Kung saan pag-determine aning critical region? In determining that critical region, again, mobalik ta atong table. Dere. Ini atong gamiton sa critical region. Kani nga table, kana person. Since we know that we are using case number 1, so wala na ni sila'y appeal. Ini lang atong tanawon. Okay? Now, kung sa'yo basihan sa critical region, tanawon ang inyuhang alternative hypothesis. Kasi alternative na to, greater than. Di ba? Kay greater than man kini atong gamiton. Di ba? So, mo ni inyuhang critical region. Clear? Again, your critical region will be based in your alternative hypothesis. So, you will get this as your critical region. So, it should be Z greater than Z sub alpha. Sabtan? Sabtan everyone? So, mo na ato ang critical region. Balik ta dito sa babaw. Okay. So, mo ni atong critical region now, kini nga portion. Kung saan po na pag-solve karon? So, we know this is Z sa Z greater than usahan niya itong alpha? You know? 0.05. So, it should be Z sub 0.05. Now, kung saan niya pag-compute? Okay? You can compute this one using katubitang pareha bitaw atong nato class atong probability of Z less than K then equal to say for example 0.9928. Unsa ang value ni K? Ingon ana, kung unsa na nga K mao po na something ingon ani diri. Kining 0.05 mao ni nga value. Kuha ninyo? So what you will be doing is pangitaon ninyo si 0.05 sulod sa table or 0.0500 para upat ka digit. Pangitaon ninyo ni sulod sa table. Kasabtan? Pangitaon na siya sulod sa table. Sige. Pangitaon na to sa table. Pangitaon na to ang table. O sa nga table ang gamiton, duhara ba to? T or Z? It should be Z. Kaya Z man ang na-involve. Diba? Ano to ang table? Ito nga table karon na kini. Dili ni nga table kay sa T man ni. Dito ta sa Z. Pangitaon nato si 0.05. It will never be the positive. Why? Kay mga dagko naman ni nga mga values. Dito ta sa mga gagmay kay it is 0.0500. Nani dito sa negative ka portion. Okay? Negative. So it must be here. Ama ng 0.05. Tabangin ko yung pangita. Ng 0.05. Amoy nakitaan?
So negative
3.05. Ini 0.05 naman nila portion, di ba? Ay 0.05 dira.
Wala, sir, per 90.
Ini, portion.
0.0505.
Ay,
Wala,
diba?
Naay,
Asay mas duol nila? Kini ba or kana? Do you think? First
0.505.
or second?
First.
kana first.
Parehas sila distance, no? Parehas. Kung saan gani himuon kung parehas, tinunduman ninyo sa akong gidiscuss. Ang kung parehas gani, maon ang answer ani dito sa babaw, ug ang answer ani dito sa babaw, i-add sila, i-divide og 2. Nakinomdom mo?
Yes, sir.
O mo na last time. So atong himuon class, pero kung naani siya exactly sa table, mo na to ang answer. or na ay pinakaduol niya, mao na to ang answer. Karon kay duha man sila, so you need to get the answer of this and the answer of this one. Itong paon. So, mangitaon sa nato ni. So that is negative 1.60. By the way, you neglect the sign. You just get the value 1.64, right? So you have now 1.64. Ang isa is 1.65, di ba? So i-add ninyo ng duha 1.65 i-divide og 2. Muna din na ang answer ani. Kuha ninyo? By the way, kining 1.64 gikan na ani. Kining 1.65 gikan na dira. Na-discuss na last time? Nag-discuss wala?
Nag-discuss, sir.
Hoy everyone. Na-discuss na ko na wala?
Na-discuss, sir.
Jewel, na-discuss na ko wala?
Na-discuss, sir.
Naka-mute ka, Jewel.
Ha, wala man, sir.
Jewel,
Sir,
na-discuss na ko ni wala?
na-discuss, sir. Na-discuss, sir.
Na-discuss mo na last time, di ba? So what you will be doing now is we are going to night chat. Na-discuss. Okay, mas maayo kay na-discuss. Duwa silang ni tingog. Diligin ako madunggan inyong tingog. Balik daw. Can you try to unmute your microphone, Dobi? Ako i-check kung there's something wrong. Okay, sige daw. Dangkal, can you try daw unmute your microphone, Dangkal? This way.
Mana, sir?
Madunggan man di ay. Okay. So, okay na. So, after that, you will add this 2, then divide it by 2. And obviously, your answer is 1.645. Diba? Sakto, class?
Yes, sir.
So, it means, ang answer ani is 1.645. Nasabtan? So, ang answer ani nga portion, kini nga portion is 1.645. 1.645. So this is now z greater than 1.645. Sabtan? Sabtan,
Yes,
class?
sir.
So this one is equal to this. Okay, ito na po ng... Okay. Balik ta dito. Balik ta. So it will be now this portion. We are done in the critical region. Right? We are done. But before that, in the critical region, ato sa nang i-graph para makita na to. If we want to graph that one, it will look like this. If this is 0, this is the normal curve. The 1.645 is in the right side of 0. Kaya positive man siya. Kung negative pa na, nasa left side. So it should be somewhere here. That is 1.645. Nag-ingon man niya greater than, ang i-shade nimo ang right side. It will be this one, the shaded region. So the shaded region now is your critical region. Sometimes, that is now your critical region. The next one is step number 5, the actual value. How to determine the actual value? In determining the actual value, you just have to use this formula in step 3. Okay? In step 3, the formula is this. So your Z, we will now compute it. What is our sample mean? That is 306.2. 306.2. Your claimed mean is 305, right? Minus 305.2. 5.2 all over your standard population standard deviation 1.89. 1.89 all over the square root of your n. But your n is 55. Can you follow? Nakuha ninyo class? Nasabtan ra? Again, the step 5 should be based in your step 3. Okay. Now, after that, you get your scientific calculator. Can you get your calculator? Kindly press, i-try o press ang 306.2, 306.2, 306.2 minus 305.2. Ay, 305 only, no? Kay claim naman din eh. Wait. 305 ra ni.
Walay 2, sir.
Ana ra. So, wait sa. So, clear. So, sa'yo naman na, kay diretso naman. That is just 1.2, right?
Yes, sir.
That is
Yes, sir.
1.2. It is 1.89. Oops. Dito na ito. Isulat. 1.89. 1.89 all over pila ng square root of 55? Pila ng square root of 55 plus?
7.4, sir.
Square root of 55 is pila?
7.4.
7.42, right? 7.42. Okay, run off man nato na, di ba? 7.416, di ba? So, 42. Di ba? Then after that, imo ning i-divide ning duha. I-divide sa nato na silang duha. So, what is 1.89 divided by 7.42? Pila?
0.20.
Ano yung answer? Ako ang calculator, ang answer is 0.25. Parihata?
0.25.
Yes, sir.
Pariha? Try to use your calculator. 0.25. Okay? So correct. So now, 1.2 divided by 0.25. That would give us 4.8. 4.8. Okay? That is 4.8. So now, that is 4.8. Okay, 4.8 is kani. Ato nang i-locate diri. So actual value nato diri z is equal to 4.8. Para ma-determine nato ang statistical decision, ato ning i-locate diri sa atong critical region. Okay? And by that, man na dapita. That is somewhere here, right? And that is within the critical region. Okay, within the critical region man, unsa atong statistical decision? Reject or do not reject?
Reject.
Reject, sir.
Reject.
Reject.
Unsa? Reject, do not reject. Very good. We need to reject null hypothesis. Kung sa gani pasabot kung ma-reject ang null hypothesis, it means kung ma-reject ang null hypothesis, ma-reject na, it means tinuod ato ang claim. Sa ato pa di ay, tinuod tong giingon sa mga climatologists nga kung mo init or mo melt ang mga ice sa Hudson Bay, ang kalawmon sa Hudson Bay mo lapas sa 305 feet. Right? Tinuod. So saan pagbutang sa conclusion? Okay, ito sa conclusion now. Ito sa conclusion. Saan paghatag og conclusion? Balik ta sa problem. Kung mani ang problem, no? In giving up conclusion, you should state this way. Let me adjust it. It's here. Dahil lang ko ibutang ang conclusion ha, dili nga portion. Therefore, we are provided with enough evidence. You just follow this form. Enough evidence to state at ibutang na ninyo ang sumpay katong naa sa inyuhang alternative hypothesis. Again, ibutang dira si H sub 1. Okay? Kung sa'yo nag-state si H sub 1 in kini man na, di ba? Unsa na in words, the mean depth of Hudson Bay is greater than 305 feet. Mamo ni, di ba? Kini nga portion. Kini nga portion, di ba? Alternative hypothesis na. So in words, that is the mean depth or the average depth of the Hudson Bay is greater than 305. Kini mo siya increase. Okay, di ba? So in this case, you will be kani ibutang diri, kani irisod. Tango na to na. Therefore we are provided sa ni ka R. Therefore we are provided with enough evidence to state that. Ayun ta. State that average depth of the Hudson Bay is greater than the usual, which is 305 feet. Or pwede na po ninyo ingon that the average depth of the Hudson Bay has increased. Pwede na po, di ba? As long as na-state ni nga alternative hypothesis. Now, sir, how if, sir, ang amo ang statistical decision, balik na dito sa babaw. Itong statistical, para maklaro ninyo. Yari. Sir, how if among statistical decision is do not reject? Kung saan ni paghatag ning conclusion? Supposedly, kadala conclusion. Kung do not reject, kung saan paghatag? Kung do not reject class, ang inyong himuon, parihas ra og forma, kani o, i-follow ninyo ni, therefore, kani, then 8 sub 1. Pero, butangan ninyo direct, we are not provided. We are not provided. Sumpayan nyo dyan na. Kung do not reject. Nasabtan? Okay. Example, your statistical decision, do not reject. Null hypothesis. Then your conclusion should be, therefore, we are not provided with enough evidence to state that, then you mention your alternative hypothesis. Pangutana. Nasabtan na tanan. So we completed the testing hypothesis with your conclusion now. Again, your result is good if you rejected the null. Again, I will repeat. The result is good if the null is rejected. Kaya nga no, makaingon man good ka nga tinuod di ay imuhang claim. Pero, kung pag-compute ninyo, do not reject, ayaw po in-manipulate. Kung sa'yo nakuha, mao na gito. Okay? Mamungunay kasagara sa mga researchers, especially, ganahan sila nga nindot ang results silang study. Kinahanglan ginila ipa-reject para tinuod ilang claim. Pero dili biya inanatanan cases. Posible man dili ma-reject imuhang nan. Posible dili pod. Wala kay enough evidence nga maingon nga imong claim tinuod. Okay? Unang ingon anak pag-state, we are not provided with enough evidence to state that your claim is true. Okay? Pangutana. You know what?
Wala,
Ining
sir.
topic nga testing hypothesis, nindot kaayo ni. Daghan pa gani kay ni siyang mga subparts. Pero again, dugay ta nakasugod sa ato ang klase kay we are only given how many weeks ra, di ba? Pinabagay mga interruption because of the Holy Week. Kung nanggamay ra atong na kuan nga oras ani, pero you know what? The testing hypothesis is one of the topics that I really love to teach. Okay? Okay na. Ulit pangutana.
Wala na, sir.
Wala na yung question? Hello? Everyone?
Wala na, sir.
Wala na, sir.
Pwede mo tingog. Hindi na po mo tingog ang di na ko manunggan ninyo ang tingog. Wala na. Okay. Everyone daw, can you unmute your microphone so that I can test it?
Mike, yes.
You know what, class?
Hello, sir.
Naarabay. Apil ra ba ni sa inyong final nga Google quiz karong Friday? Apil ning testing hypothesis. Apil ang key distribution table. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Maghatag tag isa ka example nga magamit ta atong case 3 katong kini nga table ang gamito no. Kani. Wala ra ba ta naka-example ani no? Ito nang
Yes, sir,
maghatag
wala.
tag example. Can I erase everything? Anyway, it is recorded, right? Since it is recorded, you can watch it again. Let us have one more example. Tanaw na to sa example kung magamit ani. Tanaw sa nako ha kung okay ba ni. Ayun ni kay case number 1 gihapon na. Population standard deviation Japan. Case 2 ni. Case 2 ra gyud. Tatay example nga case number 3. Kanahan ako ng case 3 kay para magamit na itong isa ka table. Ngitaan ko na ako isa ka example din sa babaw. Sige na lang. Ani aday, ako na lang i-discuss sa inyo usaon ni paggamit ni nga table. Okay. How to use this table? To use this table, say for example, you have t equal to alpha. Example. Ngayon lang, kung ano yung i-discuss para dili mo maglibog. Kini, example, kini atong gigamit. Say for example, we use this one. It means, in step number 3, you use the case 3. It means, your population standard deviation is unknown and your sample size is gamay pa kang 30. You are using this one. So again, in determining your critical region, you base it in your alternative hypothesis. And you found out, say for example, you found out that your critical region is this one. Example, that is t less than negative t sub alpha comma v. By the way, unsa nang v? V is called the degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom. V is called the degrees of freedom. And that is denoted by V. Okay? It's denoted by V. And how to compute your degrees of freedom? That is just n minus 1. Whatever is your sample size, you subtract it by 1. So now, say for example, your alpha is equal to 0.01. Your alpha is 0.01. Say for example, your n is, say for example, 20. So obviously, if your n is 20, your v from this formula is 20 minus 1. Right? 20 minus 1. So that is 19. Why am I computing v and alpha? Because I can use it here. Okay? If we substitute it here, hindi natin padayon sa babaw. Oops. Hindi natin padayon. Natin enough na space. So it will be t less than negative t sub. Your alpha is 0.01. 0.01. 0.01 and your v is 19 or your degrees of freedom is 19. Now, ini gusto na ko ipakita sa inyo. Kung saan ni pag-compute, kung saan na pagpangita sa value ana. Now, ang inyong himuon class is kini. You use this table. Kani nga table. Inyong pangitaon si 0.01 diri nga portion. Then inyong pangitaon si 19 diri. Sabtan, atong pangitaon si 0.01. Si 0.01 kay one-tailed man na. So kini ang gamiton 0.0101. Kini. Diba? By the way, kung mag-two-tailed ka, kung ang imuhang alternative hypothesis is involving less than. So again, padililibog, ang tanawon lang ninyo kini, one-tailed. Kini one-tailed ang gamiton. So you have to look for 0.01 kani and 19. Aham lang 19 kani. Diba? You cross them. This one and this. So your answer should be 2.539. So it should be T less than negative na 2.539. Ingon ana paggamit ang table, kini nga table. Okay? And again, gamitan na po ito ninyo graphic. Kung pareha kaganiha. If this is 0, asa man napita si negative 2.539, it is somewhere here. Negative 2.539. Kung greater than ang involved, is shade ang right side. Kung less than, is shade ang left side. So it will be this one. And this is now your critical region. Okay? So I already presented to you how to use this table and how to use the Z. Okay? Anyways, you can watch this again since it is recorded. I want to hear coming from you any comments, suggestion, clarification on what we discussed today.
Wala na, sir.
That is all about the testing hypothesis. And kinahanglan naamo ani ha? Naamo ani? Mas maayo inyo ning i-print kini nga portion, kini o kani o katong duha ka table. Mahulog mo tong tulo kay duha man tong Z. Okay, again I will repeat. Naamo atong normal distribution table and t-distribution table. Naamoy calculator.
Sir.
Naamo ani kini nasa screen karong Friday. Kay gamiton ninyo ni sa Friday. Pangutana.
Wala, sir.
Wala, sir.
No question?
Wala, sir.
Wala. Okay. I think that would be enough. Mga tatanan. Okay? And diri sa ubos class na pa yung mga examples number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kamo na bahalag answer ana gihatag na nako daan sa inyo. And ani di ay, sir, nakulangan ni sa mga example. O adto mo sa kung gihatag nako ninyo nga ebook kang Alan Bluman, The Book of Bluman. Naana, I already uploaded this book of Bluman's all about statistics in your Google Classroom. I-search sa inyong Google Classroom, naana dira ang libro ni Bluman. Okay? Question, everyone?
Wala na, sir.
May pangutana. I asked everyone to open cam. Kisay maka-take of picture. Then i-post unya sa Facebook, itag ko as well as your classmates. Who will volunteer? Anyone? Open your cam. Ako na lang. Ako na lang magkuhan. Wait lang ha, ako sa ibutang. First batch ta. Are you ready? Ang nakita nako si Jewel, si Jalila, wala lagi ni naka-open cam si Jalila o si Zahara.
Sir, doha ka jewels, sir.
Na si Jewel Shane. Pinag-una na ko nakita sa screen. Okay, can you open your cam? Pakita ang nawong. Si Ali. Ama si Ali karon, Sydney. Okay. Ready? Okay. I will count ha. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay? Ako sa ibutang dito sa akong file. Okay, next batch. Next batch. Ang next batch na si Jewel Sabrin. Wala naka-open sa cam. I-open ang imong cam. Rachel Malalis. Siko. Open your cam. Karen. Dennis Molenio. Janida. Wizon. Hania. Dennis, i-open Madrid. Janida. Jenaldine Pizon. Hania. Open your cam. Aka nang wala nag-open cam, ako anang pangabsinan karon. Wala nag-open cam. Okay, I will count. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay? So I will face it. Okay, next batch. Okay. The next batch. Oh, naman na ito day. Gamay ra man mo karon no? Gamay ra. Okay. I think that would be good for the day. If wala na yung mga question, na yung mga comment, dili mugana po come. Okay, may mo ana. So, again, everyone, have a nice day. By the way, ugma, sabot sa data. Let me stop this one.